And if you're trained to only sleep in perfect conditions, you're going to have a very bad sleeping pattern throughout your life because you're not going to get those perfect conditions.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Design a Future podcast. I've got Rob on today. Rob, go ahead and introduce yourself for me straight away, man.
Cheers, Olley. Thanks for having me. Excited to have a chat with you. Seen a bit of the work you're doing. It's all good fun, very positive. So I'm a 27-year property expert, probably one of the leading valuers in prime, super prime in London, Southeast and pan-European. Spent a good 14 hours a day, 6 days a week, 27 years, 100,000 hours in my specialism. And after investing so much time, so much energy in the space, you accumulate so much knowledge, experience, wisdom that by default, just because you've invested so much, you sit in a space within the market that allows you to really talk as a specialist and be an expert. At the same time, I'm massively invested in giving back, education, motivation, inspiration, students, young professionals, community charity work. I understand that I've been very fortunate in my career and my development that human beings have invested so much in me, and I've been very lucky to get that opportunity and benefited from that. And as part of my journey and legacy, just want to give back and help as many people to benefit from all that life has to offer.
Amazing. So before I get into some of the questions that I had for yourself, you talk about your journey of how you've been brought through by other people as well. So before we get into the questions, just tell me a little bit about, how you sort of got into what you're doing now and how you've progressed over the years.
Yeah. So I come from an immigrant family, so no education in the family, low-level skilled jobs because of being an immigrant and coming into the country with nothing. And at a very young age, I would have been made clear by my parents that if I wanted anything in life, I had to go out and get it myself. So 7, 8, 9, washing cars, newspaper rounds, cutting lawns, just pure graft. And that work ethic and understanding of you putting it in to get something back, whether finance or knowledge, set me on the path. And during my A-levels, I got a job in property and real estate as a summer intern. And at that point, I was so fascinated by the real world of working and earning money that I didn't go back. And I wasn't a very good student anyway. So actually, anything to not study was great for me. So from a very young age, at 17, I was on the road and away you go.
So you were sort of like learning on the job in a sense as well, right? Awesome. What's one unique thing that you've done that you're sure none of my previous guests have done?
Well, I think that through my work experience, I've seen some things that are so special that are once in a lifetime, very, very unique scenarios. And I worked in Spain and Portugal during the last crash in 08, 09, and very few people in the world would have been at the heart of, let's say, finance, property valuation like I was at that moment, and to witness something like that and be part of something like that in a country that literally went bankrupt on the back of all of that is a unique experience that I lived and witnessed, and changed my whole outlook and perspective on life. And to give a bit of context, it really is the equivalent of your Lehman Brothers scenario. It's that big and that momentous, and once in a 20, 50, 100-year scenario. And I really was in the heart and understood, as time was going by, everything that was going on around me. And that is just fascinating. It's a life experience that is mind-blowing when you really understand the core of it.
Definitely. Wicked, man, wicked. Let's say, for example, you have to lose all of the apps on your phone. You can only keep 3 of the apps. What would those 3 apps be that you would keep?
Probably not the most difficult one for me, in the sense that I'm not crazy on my phone. So WhatsApp would be the one that I'd keep the most and do use the most. It's my absolute number one communication tool, and it's the one that I use the whole time. Beyond that, I don't really have much. I think that's
I love that. So with that being said, Rob, like, I know obviously I found you through Instagram, I believe. So, you know, you're obviously now putting out content on Instagram and all of these other platforms, you know, so what sort of inspired you to do that? How comes you've now taken that separate sort of path, in a sense?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think during lockdown, one, I was
Like, that's one as well now.
I was on the phone to banks, lenders, clients, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours a day, and one by one getting a message across or supporting them in their time of need was brilliant. But at the same time, it definitely wasn't the most efficient, nor productive, nor effective mechanism to share important knowledge and insight, as I said, at a real moment of need and crisis. And so at that point, brought in Dan, and we started hitting the platforms and the social media just to share that intel, data, content, because I just needed my clients and the market to know what was going on at scale, because I couldn't get through enough calls on a daily basis that I was doing at that moment in time. So we just had to share an important message and all of that intel and data with the market. And the best way to do that was across multiple platforms.
Amazing. And what's it, you know, because you've just sort of told me that you're not the biggest person when it comes to like apps and stuff on your phone. So what's the response from your clients in the market been like for yourself putting that content out?
I think it's been really positive. I think that for most of them, it would be very surprising, because it wouldn't be the most natural thing that they would expect from me. And when you've been in an industry and you're quite prominent for decades, and on social you're unheard and unknown, and then one day to the next you're flicking a switch, it is very surprising. And at the same time, a lot of people are taking advantage of it in a positive way. So their feedback has been really positive and engagement levels are really high. And so, you know, you're serving a purpose, and that makes me happy. At the end of the day, any way that I can help the industry, clients, and people, the better. And so if this is the mechanism and the way to do that, then great, happy days.
Amazing, amazing. You know, you mentioned about coaching and sort of helping the younger generation get into property. What would be sort of like your fundamental advice for someone, you know, let's say 16, 17, 18, that sort of age range, that is wanting to get into property? Where would you sort of advise they start at this moment in time?
Yeah, I think that property is just a wonderful industry to be in. It, it, it is the be all and end all of our world, because ultimately property in educational terms or in uni terms is falls under the built environment. And the built environment literally is planet Earth. You
Mm,
know, the world that we live in is the built environment, whether it's land or sea or infrastructure. Everything around you is the built environment, and that's what makes it so real and so tangible, because you actually see it. And other industries and other products might be numbers, words, systems, so not so real, algorithms as an example.
mm,
Whereas property, the built environment, everything that you see around you is just so real. And because it's real, you can understand it and get it. I like this. This is, beachfront property, or a tower, or a shopping center, or a marina, or a golf course. It's all real and visual,
mm.
and that's fascinating. And I think that's why people can fall in love with it. And to get into it, I think it's quite straightforward. Whether you go via sales or lettings or management or agency or construction, or via uni and do a degree, there's multiple entry points
Mm.
in an industry that will be here for perpetuity. It's never going anywhere. It's there for life. And that's also amazing.
Amazing, amazing. But you know, you talk about uni and stuff like that. Is that something you would suggest, go into uni to get sort of a qualification, or would you sort of suggest just jumping straight in and learning, as you said, you sort of learn on the job?
Yeah, I mean, I love working. So I always believe that the best experience is through work and doing the real thing rather than the theoretical thing. So it's much better to offer your services for free as an intern, as a grad,
Hmm.
anything to get your foot through the door and prove your worth, just to get experience and knowledge. I think working for free and getting the opportunity is your education. And if you've got the mindset that when you work, you're learning, and it's not about being paid, it's about knowledge, then you can go anywhere. And so, for example, I worked at the largest real estate company in the world, CBRE, an incredible company, great organization, great platform, infrastructure, training, everything amazing. And I would have gone to them and begged them to let me work for them. And I said, I'll work for free. I'll do anything to have a job in your company, because I want to work for the best company in the world in property and real estate. So that's what I did. And I think when you get to the point of understanding that working is an education and not a mechanism for purely earning money, it's more for developing your knowledge and your skill set, then you look at it differently.
Amazing, amazing. And I think like with what you've said as well, it comes down to really having clarity on what you want. Because like you said, if you know that that's what you want to do, you want to learn from the best, then it's pretty straightforward. Then you're going to the best, and you're proposing that you would work for free. When it comes to like habits and routines, I'm guessing you have some pretty solid structures beyond just the business side of things, more so like in your personal sort of life. What would be your best advice when it comes to creating habits and routines to help you maximize what you're doing within your business?
So I'm quite unorthodox in that sense. So
Love it.
I've learned to function, trade, operate in chaos and disorder. And I think it goes against the grain and goes against your textbook approach to life, textbook approach to being a high flying entrepreneur or business woman or man. At the same time, there's a lot of logic to being functional in chaos and disorder and uncertainty. Because if you can perform in the worst conditions and maybe think about, I don't know, Jamaican sprinters or Brazilian footballers or even African footballers where they don't have perfect conditions to learn their skill and train, and they grow up in the worst conditions. When they get given better conditions, they can then overperform and outproduce their competitors. So by default, through lack of structure and lack of organization, I would say, I'm highly adaptable and flexible, and I love chaos and disorder because I feel that's where I perform at my best. And in all of the training that I do, I run a young leadership program and mentoring, community work. I actually purposely push for disorder and chaos because I want to see how individuals perform in those situations. Most people look for controlled environments and need controlled environments to achieve what they're looking or to achieve the highest levels of performance. I want to see how people operate in the reverse of that. And one of the best analogies for that to understand is getting a baby or a child to sleep. When you try to create perfect conditions, so that means a blacked out room with no noise and no interference, and the baby learns to sleep in those conditions, it creates a completely false environment and reality to a sleeping pattern that you're going to find throughout life. Because in life, wherever you're going to sleep, you're not going to be sleeping in a completely blackout room with no noise. There's going to be the road or banging or the Hoover or a railway line or light seeping through or numerous things that will interrupt sleep. And if you're trained to only sleep in perfect conditions, you're going to have a very bad sleeping pattern throughout your life because you're not going to get those perfect conditions. So it's a complete mismanagement of expectation.
Amazing, amazing, man. Yeah, I think that sort of hits the nail on the head when people come to me and about creating content, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not going to start creating content until I've got the camera, the microphone, the tripod, and all of that." And I think, in a nutshell, that's basically what you were just saying. Like, if you have to rely on that perfect situation, you're never going to get there. So you just need to sort of start and work around it. When it comes to managing a team, I know you said you've brought someone on recently to help you with the social media and stuff like that. How do you go about managing a team and putting certain systems in place?
I'm very, very, very trusting in anyone that I work with or bring in. And I massively believe in giving them the opportunity to prove themselves and run things the way they want to run things. So over delegate, over trust,
Mm.
over give responsibility, because I believe that's the best way for the individual to develop, grow, and learn. And that's what I love about teams and working environments. Otherwise, I might as well just do everything myself and not have the people and be a micromanager or a dictator. I'm the complete reverse of whatever that is. I love people to grow, develop, become their own person, learn, and find whatever the best path is for them with the skills that they have. And normally that brings the best results.
Amazing, amazing. Well, Rob, thank you so much. Well, obviously, this is the Designer Future podcast. So, where is Rob within the next 12 months? What's he doing?
I think carrying on doing what we're doing now,
Mm.
hopefully educating, motivating, inspiring next gen, current gen, sharing knowledge, intel, data with the world, and carrying on working towards a legacy of just giving back and helping as many people, giving to as many people, serving as many people as possible. That's the clarity, and that's my absolute role in life in all aspects of everything I do: work, community, charity, family, friends, etc. And as long as I'm doing that every second of every minute of every day, then I'm in a good place.
Amazing, amazing. Well, Rob, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. For the guys watching and listening, I'm going to leave Rob's Instagram in the description below. Definitely go check him out. Like I said before, posting some really valuable content, all in the hopes to inspire and motivate, like he said, the next generation going into property. So yeah, thank you guys for watching and listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks again, Rob.
Take care.